All right, welcome back. You're watching WION World is One with me, Mohammed Saleh. So we're tracking the big developing story that has just come in, where India, according to reports, has accepted Pakistan's offer of consular access for Kulbhushan Jadhav. The Indian Charge d'Affaires, Gaurav Ahluwalia, it has been reported, will be meeting Jadhav. Remember, Pakistan had made this offer, and the meeting could take place in roughly 90 minutes from now. This is the second instance where Pakistan has made its offer. The last time round was on the 1st or the 2nd of August, when Pakistan had stated that it will offer consular access, but under conditions. One, there will be a Pakistani officer who will be present at the time that consular access would be granted for Kulbhushan Jadhav. And secondly, the entire interaction would have been recorded via a CCTV camera. These are the two riders that Pakistan had imposed. Now, at this point of time, there is still no clarification whether these two riders still apply. But my colleague Ramesh Ramachandran is now joining us with more information in terms of this offer that's been made by Pakistan and the fact that India has now accepted Pakistan's offer of consular access. Good morning to you, Ramesh. Now, this is a big development that has come through, where India has stated that it will accept the Pakistani offer for consular access for Kulbhushan Jadhav.
Indeed, Mohammed, this is the second time Pakistan has offered India consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav, but this is the first time India has accepted that offer. Now, if I can go back to our sources who are telling us at WION World is One, that India has been seeking this access for the last 3 years now, ever since Kulbhushan Jadhav was apprehended in March 2016. And the sources are telling us that the court gave a unanimous decision in favor of India at the ICJ. And today, after victory in the ICJ, India will be proceeding for consular access to Sri Jadhav. And the Indian Charge d'Affaires, Gaurav Ahluwalia, will be meeting him in Pakistan. But the operative part of the statement put out by sources, Mohammed, is that India hopes that Pakistan will ensure right atmosphere so that meeting is free, fair, meaningful and effective, in keeping with the letter and spirit of the ICJ order. So still a caveat there somewhere embedded in that statement, Mohammed, that India will be waiting and watching to see that the right conditions are put in place for the meeting with Kulbhushan Jadhav. It's at 12 noon Pakistan Standard Time. That's 12:30 India time.
Absolutely, indeed. So in roughly a couple of hours from now is when the meeting will take place. But Ramesh, at this point of time, like you said, the operative part of what has been stated by India is that it hopes that it will be a free and a meaningful consular access that will be granted. But my question to you is this: can Pakistan be trusted to do so?
That's $1 million question, Mohammed. Can Pakistan be trusted to do anything at all that even remotely is seen as favouring India? The question is, the letter and spirit of the ICJ order says unfettered access to Kulbhushan Jadhav. Clearly, that means that having CCTV cameras or having Pakistani personnel be seated in the same room as Kulbhushan Jadhav will not qualify as unfettered, number one. Number two, India says that between now and 12:30 p.m. India time, India will be waiting and watching for the right conditions to be met before they actually go ahead and seek consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav. By that they mean that they want free, fair, unimpeded, meaningful and effective meeting with Kulbhushan Jadhav. So that's a huge question mark still on whether the meeting will actually take place 2 hours from now or not.
All right, very interesting there. Do continue to stay on with us, Ramesh. Meanwhile, I'm told that we're also joined in by my colleague Siddhant Sibil and also Professor Brahmachalani, who is a strategic affairs expert as well. Siddhant, let me begin with you. At this point of time, do we have more information in terms of the conditionalities for this meeting, which India has now decided to accept?
Well, it seems that Pakistan has finally agreed to give unimpeded access to Kulbhushan Jadhav, full-fledged access to Kulbhushan Jadhav, and that is why India accepted this offer, the Pakistani offer, which has been sent for the second time by Islamabad to New Delhi. Remember, the last time Islamabad sent the offer was on 30th of July, just 14 days after the big verdict from the World Court at The Hague that Pakistan should immediately grant consular access, and then within 14 days, Pakistan agreed, but that was a partial consular access and India rejected it. And finally, again, the offer was sent and India has accepted. This time the meeting will continue for 2 hours and it seems that there will be no personnel present, no CCTV cameras present, no recording devices present to record the entire conversation which happens between the Indian diplomat and Kulbhushan Jadhav, who was abducted by Pakistani agencies from Iran.
All right, Siddhant, do continue to stay on with us. Meanwhile, Professor Brahma Chalani has now joined us in this broadcast on WION. Thank you very much indeed, sir, for joining us here. And let me begin by asking you this. Now, this has been a very contentious issue between India and Pakistan. India has been asking Pakistan to provide consular access for well over 3 years, and it was after the ruling at the International Court of Justice that Pakistan has now agreed to provide consular access. The last time Pakistan had made an offer to provide consular access was on the 1st of August, but it had put a couple of riders. But this time round, it appears that there are no riders that have been put for this consular access meeting. What do you make of this?
Let's not forget that the real issue is not consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav. The real issue is Kulbhushan Jadhav's abduction from Iran by the ISI and his conviction and sentencing by a military court. Granting consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav will not change the fundamental issue.
All right.
In fact, if Pakistan grants unimpeded access to Kulbhushan Jadhav, it will only strengthen Pakistan's hands vis-a-vis India, because under the ICJ verdict, the International Court of Justice held that Pakistan had clearly breached the provisions of the Vienna Convention. But instead of following up on its own conclusion and ordering Pakistan to release Kulbhushan Jadhav, the ICJ did the opposite. It put the matter back in the court of Pakistan. It asked Pakistan to review the conviction and sentence of Kulbhushan Jadhav. So, once Pakistan grants India consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav, then in the second step, it can tell the ICJ that it has reviewed the sentence, the conviction and sentence of Kulbhushan Jadhav and upheld both the sentence and the conviction of Kulbhushan Jadhav. India will get nothing from this consular access.
I think that's an important point that you raised. We'll dwell a bit more on that, but before we come to that, the other issue that I want to ask you about is, when consular access is granted, how does the meeting take place? Because back in 2017, in December, when the wife and mother of Kulbhushan Jadhav had been allowed to meet him, it was done from across a glass wall, and that is how the meeting took place. Is that a similar kind of a scenario likely to play out if this, as and when this consular access meeting takes place today?
In normal circumstances, at least all civilized nations in the world provide unfettered consular access to embassies once they arrest foreigners. Embassies have the right to speak to the arrested person, the national of their country, in privacy. This is done normally across the world. But Pakistan is not a normal state. It's a rogue state. And therefore what we saw in the past when Kulbhushan Jadhav's mother was taken to meet with him, they will use this for propaganda. They will show to the public and to the world that they granted India consular access to this alleged Indian spy and that they have fulfilled their obligations under international law. Nothing more will come out from that meeting.
So do you think, this consular access that's now been granted for Kulbhushan Jadhav could be used as propaganda, pretty much in the same manner in which Pakistan had used the meeting between Kulbhushan Jadhav and his mother and wife back in December 2017? Is that what may play out today?
Well, let's keep in mind that the consular access has been provided today in the context of Pakistan ratcheting up provocative actions against India and leading an international campaign to highlight alleged human rights abuses in Indian J&K. It also comes days after Pakistan terminated trade and all transportation links with India, downgraded diplomatic relations with India, and is now threatening to unleash a final war against India. So given these circumstances, today's consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav will be used by the Pakistani state for propaganda purposes.
All right, that's an important thing which I'm pretty sure will be playing up on the minds of the Indian officials as well as they take up this case. Now, the other issue, Professor, that you were talking about is that, this may not actually, take the case forward further. But my question to you will be this: post the consular access, India will, of course, get to know more details about the manner in which this trial, which has condemned Kulbhushan Jadhav in the case of espionage, was conducted. Could India then not use that information to take Pakistan on the International Court of Justice, stating that it has been a travesty of justice because he was not given a fair trial as it was conducted via a military court?
The International Court of Justice has had its say. There's no way India can go back to the ICJ. The ICJ process, in any case, takes many months. I think what India could get from the ICJ, it has got. But beyond that, there isn't much that India can get from ICJ. As far as Kulbhushan Jadhav is concerned, the man must be a mental wreck. He is being tortured and kept in isolated conditions in jail. There's very little that he can provide to India. The real issue that we should be discussing is how we can secure Kulbhushan Jadhav's freedom. The only way possible is if India was willing to repay Pakistan in kind. Pakistan, after all, abducted Kulbhushan Jadhav from Iran. If India were to abduct an ISI officer from a third country and then trade that officer for Jadhav's freedom, that's the only possibility that India has to secure the freedom of Kulbhushan Jadhav. So all this media focus on silly things like consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav cannot obscure the real issue. The fact is that India has done little to secure the freedom of Kulbhushan Jadhav. Just spotlighting that issue is not enough. India has to do something concrete. After all, India is dealing with a rogue state.
I think that's an important point that you've made there because, India has, of course, pursued this case within the legal ambit. But are we to now state, Professor Chelani, that legally speaking, we have now exhausted the, how further we can take this case forward? Because consular access is what the ICJ has granted us, and you're stating that there is nothing for that India can proceed further legally on this case.
Let's be clear on one issue. Kulbhushan Jadhav case is not a legal case. It's a political case. As far as the international justice system, once they held that the Pakistani state was in breach of the Vienna Convention, the ICJ should then have proceeded to do what international law demands, which is to seek reparations. Reparations in the form of an order to Pakistan to release Kulbhushan Jadhav. Instead, the reparations they outlined in their order was to ask the violating party, Pakistan, to review the sentence, the conviction and sentence of Kulbhushan Jadhav. Now, why would a violating party review the conviction and sentence of a person they allege to be an Indian spy? So putting the ball back in the court of the violating party, the ICJ did not uphold international law principles.
All right, interesting points there. Do continue to stay on with us, Professor Chilani. Meanwhile, I'm told that we're also joined by Mr. Vivek Karju, India's former ambassador to Afghanistan. Ambassador Karju, let me begin by asking you, sir, what do you make of the fact that India has now accepted the offer of consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav? All right, we seem to have lost the line with Ambassador Vivek Karju there. We'll try get him back in just a bit. But Ramesh, if I can bring you in on this. We just heard Brahmachalani there state that, in some ways, consular access being granted to Kulbhushan Jadhav may not have a bearing in terms of what plays out in the case of Kulbhushan Jadhav.
Indeed, Mohammed, and if I can just update our viewers, in the last few moments, we've seen the Indian Deputy High Commissioner Gaurav Ahluwalia driving into the Pakistani Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Remember, this is the same venue where the December 2017 meeting between Kulbhushan Jadhav and his wife and mother took place in December 2017. So, in the last few minutes, we've actually seen the Deputy High Commissioner Gaurav Ahluwalia driving into the Pak Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now, coming to the discussion that we're having with Professor Brahmachalani, Mohammed, he made a very interesting point.
I'll just interrupt you there because I'm told that we are joined by Ambassador Karju. Ambassador Karju, thank you very much indeed, sir, for joining us on this broadcast on WION. And let me begin by asking you this. What do you make of the fact that India has accepted the offer of consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav?
Well, we still don't have the details on what basis has India accepted, because this case is sui generis. I would imagine that the normal rules of consular access or the normal practice of consular access between India and Pakistan would really not apply to this case because of its very special circumstances and features.
Mm-hmm.
So I, for one, would be interested in knowing the conditions that India has accepted, because the Pakistanis were saying that they will do it in accordance with their domestic laws or their domestic procedures. Now, the important thing as far as I'm concerned is that Jadhav should have full confidence and that the procedure which has been adopted will ensure that whatever he says will not impact adversely on him. Unless he has that confidence, I don't know whether he will really come out with all that he has suffered.
And also, Ambassador, if you could just weigh in on, when consular access is provided, how is it normally done? Because Pakistan, the last time round, it had allowed the mother and wife of Kulbhushan Jadhav to meet him, had done it from across a glass wall that was put up. Is that a likelihood today again?
Well, in the normal circumstances, as far as I know, between India and Pakistan, the people who have to be given consular access are brought to one particular place, and consular officials of the country concerned goes and meets them.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't this aspect of giving these people confidence, because in many cases the consular officials seek details of the person so that they can first of all establish national identity. That is not required in this case. The second point is that normally the person concerned gives an account of where he was apprehended, why he's been apprehended, but there are no sensitivities involved. So these are meetings which take place in a more, if I would say, in a more normal situation, in a less contentious situation. Here it's completely different. So what have we accepted? Will the Pakistanis be overhearing our conversations? Will there be any kind of video recording? All that is not known. And I do think, and I do hope that the government will make that available to the people, because all of us need to know and need to be assured that Kulbhushan Jadhav will have the full confidence to speak freely, and with the assurance that the Pakistanis will not be able to have a go at him.
I think that's...
Also, I think there has to be sufficient time for our own officials to be able to make an assessment of Jadhav's situation. So these are important considerations that will...
I think that's an important point you make. But one other aspect that I would want you to weigh in on, Ambassador, is, this granting of consular access, what bearing does it now have on the legal process of the Kulbhushan Jadhav case? Because we were talking to Professor Brahmachalani, and he said in some ways it actually strengthens Pakistan's hand more.
No, I wouldn't agree with that. Look, what the court had said was that consular access is a right in all situations, and that the Pakistanis are obliged to give this right. The next point that the court had said was that it is for Pakistan to determine if the denial of this right has, and to what extent it has, and what manner it has, impacted on Jadhav's rights for a free and fair trial. So that remains. That is an assessment that we will have to make through this consular access process on what has been the nature of the trial that was held, who were his counsel, whether the trial was held properly. Even in Pakistan's absolute, convoluted and compromised legal system, this military court system, etc. And once we've assessed that, then we have the right also to arrange for his counsel. So that
no, just to get that point here, sir, are you saying that India can arrange for a counsel for Kulbhushan Jadhav? Is that something that can legally be pursued?
No. Under the normal a country has the right to assist national.
All right, we seem to have lost the line there with Ambassador Kaju. Meanwhile, these are visuals of the Indian officials. We are given to understand who are entering the Pak Foreign Ministry. Now, the consular access meeting will take place anywhere from 12 p.m. till 12:30 p.m. That is when the meeting is expected to, in fact, take place. And Professor Brahmachalani is still with us. And sir, very quickly, closing comments from you. Now that India has accepted this offer, we still don't know the riders that might be put in place. My question to you is, after this consular access, legally, what can India now do?
Well, your previous guest was mentioning that India could provide a lawyer to Kulbhushan Jadhav. But let's keep in mind that the International Court of Justice has not asked Pakistan to conduct a fresh trial. There is no order for a fresh trial. Kulbhushan Jadhav, from the Pakistani perspective, has already been convicted and sentenced by a military court. He is in prison as a convict.
Right.
Again, from the Pakistani legal perspective. So, consular access, we don't know what kind of consular access they will provide to the Indian High Commission officials. But even in the best case scenario, where such consular access is unfettered, the fact remains that Pakistan then can claim that it has fulfilled its obligation.
All right.
And that it can now move on to review the conviction and sentence, which it will uphold both the conviction and the sentence of Kulbhushan Jadhav, and then say that from the international legal perspective, it has done its bit, and the matter rests there.
All right, that of course is a significant point that I'm pretty sure the Indian officials will have at the back of their mind as they have accepted this consular access. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Chalani, and also to Ambassador Kaju and to my colleague Ramesh Ramachandran for having joined us on this broadcast. Now, this is a case that we will continue to track on WION. We'll slip into a short break. More news and details will come up on the other side. Stay tuned to WION.